All right, I'm ShockSmash,
And I'm Z.
and today we'll be talking about the PGR reveal, the algorithm, and the controversy surrounding MVD. All right, Z, well, let's not pussyfoot around. Let's just get to it. What do you think about MVD's placing?
So MVD was placed at 31 for the reveal recently for the PGR, and I feel that it is a very accurate placing for him because the one example I've been getting a lot of people when I have this discussion is if we had another tournament like Civil War, biggest tournament ever, all of the PGRs invited, would it surprise you to see any MVD in the 25 to 32 range? Based on his performance, I would feel like that's an accurate placing for him, especially with the last couple tournaments that he's gone to. Now, he did fall from 25 into 31 spots, so I feel like that's still an accurate range. The controversy that's going around where, the scorecards between his and Allies are very conflicting because Allies went to a lot of events, has similar placings, was ranked higher, but had like a bigger drop. And MVD did not have as much of a drop. I believe Ally was, somewhere in the 17 or 18 range previously, around there.
He was around
And
there,
he had a lot more losses at the time, which I feel like affected his placing more so than it did for MVD and having his losses. Now, MVD also had his saving grace of getting fifth at Genesis, which was, I believe, the biggest tournament of the year, if not one of the top three biggest tournaments of the year as an A+, if I'm not mistaken. And folks think that, he didn't even get any PGR wins along the route. And I don't think that's something you can blame MVD for. In his bracket, taking a look at it, he had to go through Nairo, projected. He also had to go through Karna, projected, and I believe Samsora. He had to go through three different players, three very outstanding players. Karna hitting the Area 51, Nairo obviously in the top 10, Samsora possibly in the top 10 as well, especially after his recent breakouts, but back then maybe around the 20-30 range. So he had a lot of heavy hitters in his way. It's not MVD's fault that he performed well at the 13th seed.
Right.
And, Nairo lost a legit. Karna had lost to C4. Samsora couldn't make it to the tournament. K9 couldn't knock him out either. I don't think we can blame MVD for having a fantastic performance at one of the biggest tournaments ever because it's not his fault that, everyone else lost.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that card, I did a double take. I did the same exact thing everybody on Twitter did. They said, whoa, 8%? 1 in 11 against the top 50? How is this guy ranked this high? So me being naturally curious, I went out and I reached out to Swar and I said, hey, Swar, what is going on with this? Why? How could he be ranked this high? And he said, if you think about MVD's placing, he lost to everyone he should lose to, and he beat everybody he should beat. Now, that's an interesting idea when you're trying to factor in the algorithm, you're trying to figure out where the placings would come. But the other thing that we kind of forget is the placing at Genesis, Genesis 5. So he placed 5th place. Amazing placing in that tournament. The trouble is he got there without really facing any tough PGR wins in his bracket. But as you say, he didn't. It's not his fault. That's not his fault because people missed their flight. It's not his fault people got sick. It's not his fault that there were upsets. So we look at this and then we have to go, okay, we have this outlier here. This is the very, very odd, lucky, whatever you want to call it, placing of a guy who was just in the right circumstance, has done everything he should do, got, I don't want to say lucky at one tournament, but really had an easy path at one tournament, and he was rewarded for it by being able to keep that placing of 31st. So, like, people are calling out that the algorithm needs to change, or people are calling out that Panda Global, put the fix in. Now, I don't think that's true. What do they have to gain for that? I mean, if anything, if they lose their credibility, they lose everything. So, I mean, what do you think? Why? Why would they do that? Why are people calling out that Panda Global is fixing this?
Yeah, and that's completely ridiculous. For anybody thinking that Panda Global is going to put their whole stake at risk for putting MVD at 31.
Yeah, and 31
on the PGR. On the PGR, because he's been ranked every single time. Like, I don't understand how people think this is a fix. It's clearly understood that there is some sort of the determination that goes into some things on the PGR, but we have the algorithm specifically for ranking people, and the company, or the team, I should say, in Panda Global, I've known a lot of the members, including Samurai Panda, ESAM, MVD, Cosmos, the Smash guys, and even some of the other guys from the other games. I think I sat down with, I believe it's Plup even at one point at Genesis, and we just all talked about it. And there's a lot of good guys, and MVD is very business savvy himself, and we had a lot of discussions about how it feels to be in an esports team and operate this way. And they're looking still as big as they are. They want to be better. They want to become the full blown professional organization like an NBA team would be, or an NFL team, or Major League Baseball team. The company is driven to go that route. Putting in a fix would undermine everything they've done, absolutely everything, and that would tear them apart. And there's absolutely no reason why anybody in that team would do, from all the way to the top at Sam or Panda, all the way down to some of the players. There's no reason why they would do any of that stuff. And so I don't see how that's even a justifiable thing to say, especially when the kind of people they have on their staff, the kind of people that are their players. It's ludicrous to think that they would have some sort of a mission to go out and make their players look better. Because MVD, if you look at it, he did place well everywhere he went. I mean, maybe 25th isn't good to him. 25th isn't good to a lot of people. You tried getting 25th at some of these tournaments,
Right.
So that's my challenge to everybody who's thinking that MVD doesn't belong that low or that high or wherever. It doesn't. There's just no reason for this team to go ahead and do that and to undercut by. Keep in mind, they provided us the PGR.
Right.
They gave us the system to rank people and allow us to go ahead and have this concrete number that we can place towards players, individuals, so they can have sponsors. They can have teams come after them. We can have some sort of a ranking to base off of, to have to featurette folks. It doesn't make any sense how anyone can come to that conclusion, especially when, if you look at the numbers, just by looking at it, you don't have to know the algorithm, just look at them. 17, 25, 33, 25, 5, That 1/5 place is definitely holding him up, but he fell after having a consistent, and he was 25th last time. So it's not like he had such a fantastic or terrible. He kind of was around the same as where he was last time, and he dropped down because other folks did very well too. And we got to give him his credit where it's due.
Yeah. Well, that one win. So the one win is why he dropped down. So he dropped down those 6 places, but it was Genesis 5 that propped him up. And really, that's what kept him from falling further.
Yeah.
So that brings into question, okay, how the beauty of the algorithm is what you're saying. It was provided to us by the PGR. They're changing it. They're always tweaking it. So if it's something that we all have come to trust and really focus on and believe in, I mean, you can see that that's true because of the anger that people are having because of this ranking.
Right.
So this is something that we believe in. So I don't like the idea of attacking Planet Panda. What we should do is work to fix the algorithm, work to change it, offer up suggestions. Swara created, the Discord page. He's helping out. He wants people's feedback. He wants to provide, the most concrete system we can have. I mean, that's why they stripped out the objectivity out of it and just said it's an algorithm. And that's why we have this placing. If it was objective, MVD probably would have dropped further. Because they would have factored that in. They would have some human person would have factored in. Hey, he didn't beat anybody at Genesis 5. Really, he didn't play the PGR players that he was supposed to play. So I don't like the idea of bashing it. But what I want to do is I want us to call it out. Like, that's great. Call it out. Why is this there? And then if they answer and they tell us, well, this is exactly why. Here's a concrete excuse or a concrete reason of why he's so high. Then we should go, okay, I got it. Of course, we're not calling them out as being cheaters. Then we can say, okay, well, maybe the algorithm needs to be looked at for these situations, for these outliers. Or do we just say, hey, this is an outlier. And, on a bell curve, there's going to be outliers here and there. But for the most part, this system is trustworthy and we believe in it. So, I mean, what are we supposed to do here in this situation? How do we get people to just shake this off and realize that, accept the reasons that they've provided and move forward trusting the PGR?
And that's a great question because the PGR in itself has been evolving. Just like how players need to evolve, just like how the meta evolves, just like how any business evolves, how anything changes. We're always in a rapidly changing environment, and the PGR will evolve with us, and it's just going to come with time.
Right.
A lot of folks are upset about the fact that this algorithm may have placed MVD so high over Ally, for example. But we have to keep in mind the algorithm was changed from last time. The factors that came into play, that Conga was on the PGR from his entrance in the exhibition at PAX Arena West, I believe it was. That was an exhibition where he was invited, and he took out huge names and got top 50 in the world from an exhibition that I was not allowed to compete at, but he was there, and a lot of folks found that to be unfair. And so that was changed. Now we're going to have another change come in for PGR V6 going forward in the future, probably placing more emphasis on who you beat.
Right.
Because it seems like there's such an outrage at the fact that MVD did not have those wins.
Yeah.
That maybe, next season, hey, who cares about what you place now?
Right.
If you beat Nairo, if you beat Ally Zero, he's probably going to come back,
he might, yeah.
MK Leo, but you get 33rd place, you might be a top 10 player.
Hey, yeah.
Does that sound right?
Actually, I think it does. I think it does sound right. And here, that's the funny thing is the counter argument for Ally. Ally lost to people he should not have lost to. I mean, look at our very own Brosnex.
Yeah.
Took him out. Smash Masters League here in Vegas took him out.
Mm-hmm.
So right there, that's a huge hit to him.
It is a huge hit, and it's just I don't think that we should use that as the end all be all type of factor where it's who you beat, when you beat, how you beat players. It also has to come down to your consistency.
Okay.
I feel like the best players in the world are those who are the best and stay at the top.
Right.
You can have falters because we're human, but the consistency is what's going to determine how you're up there. We know that Zero is the Smash 4 GOAT because he was always at the top.
Yeah.
The only people that were like ringing at him was like MK Leo and Nairo, Dabuz, Ally. These guys were
guys you
close,
expect,
but they were never always as consistent as he was. That's why he was the best.
Right.
And that's where I feel like we're going to use that. We should use that as a model. Not only just the players themselves have to be taking names, but we also have to have a little bit of responsibility within their own. Say, hey, if you're going to go to an event, you have to make sure you're at least performing well enough to be at that level, because MVD was at the 17 to 33rd range for a lot of his events with one big one.
Right.
If anything, if you're at 25th and you're averaging about where you are, and then you have a little bit of a better result, ideally, you'd think he'd move up.
Yeah.
But now we're putting so much emphasis on who you beat.
Yep.
So keep this in mind. If you upset a player, or if you're a top 50 player in the world and you're upset at MVD's placing, if you lose to unranked player, or if you lose to me in tournament, guess what? I'm going to get ranked because you're going to be my way onto the bracket, onto the board. You know what I mean? And when you start to say things like that, it sounds a little more extreme. Now, granted, I don't think PGR, the PGR panel will go into something of that nature, but for the folks who are complaining about the fact that MVD has no wins, well, imagine if all you needed were just a couple of named wins.
Right.
Yeah,
we wouldn't want somebody like that. We want somebody like me. Say I got lucky and Esam's deathly sick and I beat him by accident.
I should not
not.
be
You know
what I mean?
Exactly.
That sort of it doesn't make sense to me. Rags, for example, would have been a good example of that, where he had a couple of good wins on players, and now he's top 40 in the world, coming out of seemingly nowhere on the international scale. I know that he's been talked about in MDVA for a long time, and I know Remzi is the one I actually mentioned, him being one of the best Mennonites in the world, and it came to fruition. Obviously, we've seen some great results from Rags.
Yeah.
But imagine if Rags only did that at one tournament where he beat Ally and Cosmos. Right. That's all it takes to make it to the PGR. Those are great players, don't get me wrong. But do you really want to see somebody with 2 good wins make it onto the best 50 players in the world? Yeah. I wouldn't. I'd rather see someone. I'd like to see that board full of like tournament placings and consistent results showing that, you know what, this guy gets 25th, 17th, 25th, 17th, 13th, 33rd, 17th, Cool, they're around the 25 range. Yeah. This person gets 9, 13, 7, 3, 3, 9, 2, 17. They're probably like a top 10, top 15 player. Right. Then you see someone like Zero who's like 1, 1, 1, 1, 7, 1, 1, 1,
Yeah.
That's how in my opinion, who's the best and where they should stay in that PGR, or where they should stay in their PGR ranking, I should say, because that's the consistency means they're up there and they know how to be up there and they can stay up there.
Yeah, and that's why I wouldn't ever want the PGR to be based solely on one thing. I mean, that's why I like that it's multiple things. It's placings. It's who you beat, who you lost to. It's all these different ideas. The only thing that we could call into question would be the X factor. And is it necessary? Is it not necessary? What are your thoughts on the X factor?
When it comes to the X factor, I think it's completely unnecessary.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't see a point in having the X factor displayed because I think it just adds extra controversy. We don't need the controversy. I feel like what we really need for a ranking is just a concrete number, which they're already providing us. If this X person is 35th in the world, congratulations. X person is 34th in the world, congratulations. We don't need to determine, they can be about this good, they can be about that bad. We'll see that in their play. We'll see that in their results.
Right.
We can see in the results, this person is ranked 35th in the world. They're consistently getting 17 to 33rd. And then you know what? They got 5th place one time, kind of like MVD.
Right.
So we know he's capable of getting up to that point. And who knows, maybe at the next Super Major, we'll see him in top 8. winner side.
Yeah.
Guaranteeing fifth place.
I don't know. It's kind of nice to see an objective point of view here because they brought in 47 people, TOs, some players, and whatnot to contribute to the X Factor. So to give it an objective, something where you could have that less scientific thing, so it doesn't really impact it, but it's kind of like, hey, yeah, I think they should be up really 32, 33 instead of 31. But even if you look at that, you look at MVD's X Factor, he wasn't far off from where he got placed.
Yeah.
So that's another interesting thing with the X Factor. Is even then, when you're doing the objective, he still was
Just
about right where he
he's
should be.
supposed to be. Yeah. And the one thing I just don't like about the X Factor is that, like you said, 47 people have come together to really kind of give an idea of where they believe someone stands. I could tell you that I don't know any of those 47 people. Like, on a
You
level
do.
tour.
You know, Navi was invited.
Ah, see, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. We have very different viewpoints of how we rank somebody. And so if we're going to talk about, how, let's say, for example, Captain L gets ranked, and we're going to have that X Factor come into play. So a lot of folks who have no idea about his performances, where he's come from, how he's played his locals, regional, super majors, etc., now they have to have a say in it.
Right.
How he's, I don't know. I just feel like there's not enough consistent just knowledge. I feel like with 47 people, that's a lot of different opinions, and that's kind of where the X Factor is.
Yeah.
It's really opinion based, and it can hurt you a lot if someone doesn't have a good opinion of you.
Yeah.
Or no opinion. You know what I mean?
And that's almost as bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and
or
a lot of
worse.
folks who are, have in the same region will have bias, and that's just a human trait.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of the PGR members are from the East Coast, and I see a lot of East Coast people hyping up a lot of guys who don't perform that well.
Right.
And I see the same thing in the South, in the West Coast, in the Midwest. There's a lot of hype. The only region that hypes up their players and has been true to it has been Japan. Right. They're the only people that say, yeah, this person's pretty good. We think of him as the third best this in the world, gets top 8 in a U.S. major. It's like, okay. So I don't have a lot of faith in 47 different opinions.
Okay.
I think we just eliminate the X Factor from being displayed. Now, granted, you can have that as like your back end thing you can talk about if you wanted to have that revealed, but I don't feel like having an X Factor is necessary, especially when, if you take a look at the rankings themselves, if you give us that concrete number, it gives teams, it gives sponsors, it gives organizations all the opportunity they need to say, hey, you know what, let's go get this guy.
Right.
He's ranked 35th in the world right now. We need to get this guy. He's 15th in the world. 1 through 14 is taken. Let's get this guy.
Yeah.
Without having to worry about,
the X
he's
factor.
15,
Right.
but they say he can be anywhere between 15 to 75 with a minus 60 X factor. You know what I mean? Like, ridiculous as it sounds, and as minimal as it may be to have that conversation, I wouldn't want to risk it for a player, especially when this is what we're turning into people's livelihoods.
Right. All right. Well, I'd like to close today's episode with a quote from Swar here. And he said, MVD and the algorithm made for a very, very lucky case that doesn't necessarily require a reworking of the algorithm, but rather a reassessment of what we consider to be important as a community. The peaks, the wins, the consistency, etc. And I think I have to agree with that. Like we said, this is a community. The PGR helps us rank the top players in the world. And this is something that if you want to change the community, if you don't like something with the ranking, come forward. Join in there. Help them out. Help people out. Let's be a part of the community and let's be part of the solution.
Absolutely. Panda Global is just a team full of people who are willing to make themselves better.
Right.
And if they're giving us the opportunity, as far as announcing that there's a Discord, if you're a member of your community, you have something to say it, make it better, progress. Like I said earlier on, we're in an evolving community. We're in an evolving time frame. We need to keep changing. We can make things better if we just contribute a little bit more. So things were wrong this time. You know what? We'll make them better next time. And so hopefully we won't have to have similar controversies.
Exactly. All right. Well, thanks for watching. I'm ShockSmash.
I'm Z. We'll see you guys later.
Okay, thanks for watching. I'm ShockSmash.
And I'm Z. And if you really liked what you watched today, be sure to follow us and subscribe. Also, check out our Twitters at SmashBro_Z.
And it's Steve J. Shockey.
See you guys.
Bye.